crew had just landed on Marixa Prime itself. They just battled a group of, hobgoblins and oni that were surprisingly deep into Marixa territory. And they are kind of here. They were sent by the Tiefling crime boss, Isig, to to try to open up negotiations with the Paperleaf Tea Trading Company, who wants to do business with them. And they they have a name. They have the name of Tomic Frickson. I've never met him, but he's the regional manager for the Marixa Republic. And they figured before they go to the Pact Worlds and try to get the heavier hitters on side, they'd like to try to start here, work their way in, and we kind of have them, and maybe we get the shot of like Marixa, from like space, and we get the title card, Marixa Republic, Marixa, and then we kind of come down, um, and maybe this is like Agent Methel, the Drow Elf, his special tasks agent. He was looking for spies and stuff. He's already departed, and you guys were kind of looking around. You were gonna try to find the headquarters for the Paperleaf Tea Trading Company here on Marixa. So, how are you guys gonna go about that? Maybe we just start with this, with you guys like meeting. Krenvol, Dr. Oglehop, Zed, Ale, and Chess. You guys are all together and talking. What does this conversation look like? You're here to do a thing. So you want to access the infosphere? Yeah, that's yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. uh, yes. I know. I'll find out a bit about the people you'll be meeting. So you'd like to get a little information on them? Well, let me let me talk. Let's answer what I'll tell you what Chess finds on the infosphere first, and then you guys can decide where you want to go from there. So, what you get on the infosphere, Chess, is the Paperleaf Tea Trading Company, and their page is very tastefully done, but it's not overstated. It's got a very like it's got a very friendly and warm feel to it. Like it uses like sort of earthy tones and warm colors. Not hot, just warm. Um, and they sort of advertise that they there's a bit on there about how they're a company that has been around for a long, long time. That they actually predate the Gap. That the legend behind the Paperleaf Tea Trading Company is that there was a former slave who showed up in a large city on some backwards world with nothing but the weapons that they stole escaping from their master and a couple of copper pieces, and built a trading empire by by basically marshaling all of the economic forces and all of the sort of like business forces that she could, and really ended up becoming a politician and an extraordinarily well respected figure within like the city, and the business grew and grew and grew, and eventually went to the stars. And the legend of this is something they tout very heavily, that basically they're saying their whole empire was built on humble beginnings. They from what you can tell, they get a bit of a modest profit. They're fairly profitable, but they're not. So, but they stay out of the limelight when it comes to like there are companies that flout their wealth. They're like, we're so successful, we make this much money. Like Abadar Corp would be one of those kinds of companies. Vitari Tech or some of those other big names might be the ones that like really like marshal their image on the fact that they make lots of money. They're super successful. Paperleaf Tea Trading Company marshals their image on reliability, hard work, and a friendly atmosphere and a respect for the entrepreneur. Because after all, they were built by a very humble entrepreneur themselves. Um, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I see what they're doing here. They have a particular way that they manage their companies, sort of like the image, because they're trying to appeal to a certain market, and they're trying to maybe they're trying to avoid the bigger names come to calling and sort of real like head to head economic warfare. Um, but uh, but yeah, they've got a very they whoever their PR person is, they did a very efficient job of wrapping this story up to sound really like you know sort of underdog come good and never forget their humble beginnings kind of story. And that's what you find on the infosphere. If you'd like to dig a little bit deeper, you may have to, I'll need some culture checks and some computer rules and things of that nature. No, it actually does. I mean, that's it. Obviously, where their offices are because it's their front-facing business page. They want to get business. Yeah. So, like I say, if you want to find out more than what they say about themselves and where they're located, that will take a little bit more work. Okay, give me a culture roll there. You can also try to use your computer skills to sift through what the publicly available information to see if you can get kind of a picture of what's said about them. You know what they say about themselves, but what do you know? Yeah, okay. You get you pretty much get a lot of people that look at you that are like, "Are you fucking nuts? Like, who the fuck are you? Why are you asking me questions randomly? I'm gonna go. I got shit to do." Like they don't even say that. That's just what their look says when they're just gonna look at you. It's that who are you and why are you just randomly asking me questions? I'm gonna leave. Completely misreading the fact that they're like, why would you not know this information? Like, it's just like, to them, it's like you're a stranger asking them questions about something that they consider obvious to everybody. And to you, it's like, they're suspicious. That's awesome. I love it. Anybody else want to make any kind of attempt here? 19? All right. I think that's good enough to get you a few things. So for there is there's been a lot of question about some of their representatives and paperwork. Like it comes up in the news from time to time, not often, but it's come up a couple of different times. It seems like there's one or two reporters or investigators that really seem to have it in for this company, but they've reported on one or two people whose paperwork, didn't exactly pass muster. They think it's awful suspicious. As far as you guys, as far as any of you guys know, that's not necessarily eyebrow raising in itself. Because sometimes paperwork is just not done right. Sometimes there's just a clerical error on there somewhere, punctuation off somewhere. Something wasn't filed properly. Or it's an old form and it needs to be updated. You know, but the fact that this person is just virulently trying to figure out what's going on with them, that and they report on a lot of stuff that isn't incriminating in and of itself, stuff that actually seems pretty like legit, but they seem to think is really shady. Like Paper Leaf Tea Trading Company actually owns an orphanage on Castorville. As far as Paper Leaf Tea Trading Company, would they're part of the media. Like there's a lot of media covering it. That's like, oh, look at the great charity works these people are doing, and this person seems to have a theory that this orphanage and the trouble with the paperwork with a couple of the Paper Leaf Tea Trading Company's employees are connected in some way. Um, and that Agent Meffel that you met that was looking for spies and whatnot, there's this particular reporter, and this reporter is working for what essentially is like a tabloid site. They're like a fucking TMZ or some stupid shit. They're like celebrity news gossip, and they're trying to report on a business thing. And somehow they got an interview with this Agent Meffel, and this Agent Meffel, sort of comes out on record that that he's a little suspicious as well, um, but he won't go into detail. It's like, well, I can't talk about you know any I can't talk about official investigations, or I can't this, that, or the other. The only thing that he was caught saying was that one thing, and it's it's paparazzi type reporting. Who knows? This guy could have just taken something he said out of context and played the clip, in the video in context of something else he's saying. You'd have to get the actual. You'd have to like. You'd actually have to analyze the video itself to see if it was um, altered, if it was edited or if that was a straight feed. Um, hmm. You're also, and maybe Crenville just kind of is just looking at you like, okay, yeah, yeah, and like he's watching you work through the process here. Like you haven't specifically asked him to do anything in and of itself, and Doctor Oglehop just he appears like he always does. Sometimes he says something that's just ridiculously uh, deep or important, but a lot of the times he seems absent-minded and lost in his own world. This is one of those where if he's paying more attention than he looks like, which sometimes is the case, you know, maybe he would have something to say, but um, for the moment he just seems to be watching you guys, and uh, actually he kind of is staring at like some paint splatters on the ground. The only female name that's ever mentioned, that's specifically mentioned, is a name you already have for the potential contact in the Pact Worlds, a Jawlin Star Whisperer. But yeah, she's all the way in the Pact Worlds. She's a little bit higher up on the food chain when Paperleaf Tea Trading Company than Atomic Frickson is. No, you don't have a meeting. Not necessarily. I mean, you're pretty new here, and really the only people you seem to have pissed off are the hobgoblins and the Oni. Well, yeah, you, you're just suspicious of everybody. Yeah, you're just suspicious of everybody. Hmm. It's a conspiracy. Uh, conspiracy, and you got to get to the bottom of it. Mhm. Yep. It's just like, uh, yeah, I think yeah, you're gonna go you're gonna go to the deal. Did you guys? I forget. Did you guys end up buying a exploration buggy or something? I feel like somebody bought like an exploration buggy. And I can't remember if it was this group or. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So you have. You're right. You're right. You do. And was somebody recently bought a buggy, and I don't know why I thought it was you guys. It's probably because you already had one. Well, I mean, it depends on if you got any of you guys decided to fix it. I mean, because you've had plenty of time in drift to do so, but nobody has specifically stated that they did so. Well, I mean, at some point you probably might have. I mean, did you? That's up to you whether you fix the bike or not. You know, you and your crewmates. Okay, right. So probably like started but half finished in the corner. Well, the exploration buggy. So the buggy can hold four of you. You've got three of you plus your two NPCs. So somebody is not going to fit on the buggy. And if the junk cycle is not fixed, then somebody's going to have to either walk and be there incredibly late or just hang out at the ship. Yeah, but you can't float as fast as the buggy drives. It beats doesn't quite work like that. Yeah, he's a fool. Yeah, yeah. And Crenville just kind of looks at you and goes, "Yeah, you pretty much fucked it up before I did. So, but if you," he said, and he kind of looks at you and he's like, and he shakes his head and he's like, so, and he kind of looks over at Chess, who's taken the level of captain, and it's just kind of like, it was like, I don't know, Captain, who you think should be fixing this thing since you're gonna sit in the chair? He goes, okay. He's like, have fun at your meeting. Actually, you know what? He probably goes, you know what? Because he is a direct representative of Isaac himself. He's like, normally that'd actually be a great idea. I kind of have to be at this meeting. I can fix it later. Yeah, no, he sorry, go ahead. Yeah, Dr. Oglehop is kind of doing that thing where he's just like, he realizes, like, at first he's just kind of spacing off, seems to be thinking about something, and he goes, nah, I think I could find two better strains to cross than that. And he looks around, everybody's looking at him, he goes, what? Criminal's, criminal's like, eh. And he's like, he kind of looks around and he's like, and maybe he once again has forgotten to change into his gear. He's wearing his boxers, his bathrobe, and his slippers. He's still got his gun strapped to him, but he's just like ridiculous, and his custom micro lab and what have you. But it's like he's completely forgotten his pants or his armor, to dress normal. He just kind of looks at you guys. And goes, hey, well, you're out. Do you get some more fortunate trinkets? I think we're out. Whoa, was it talking about blowing up? I mean, the other day it was talking about like how the weapon systems work. Well, the VI can talk. It's entirely possible. Yeah, indeed. Yep. Okay, I'll see if I can talk the ship down. And he turns around and heads back into the ship. No, he clearly makes it back to the ship. He's like, and he didn't pay it, like, he completely ignores you, like, your narration. Crenville just looks at you, though, and shakes his head. And it's like, yeah. And he's kind of like, right, right. Yeah, Crenville doesn't much care where he's sitting, so. I love it. He just, poor Chess. The goblin doctor slash mystic doesn't stay focused for very long, and the AI has multiple personalities and alternates between throwing up at on the console and backseat driving. I love it, and sometimes carries around plushies. Uh, right? Grinville just goes, "Oh, probably, probably something you'll regret for the rest of your life. I'm already regretting it, and we're not even done doing whatever we're doing yet." And he just kind of shrugged his shoulders. He just, I think Crenville looks at you like he's trying to decipher if that was low key racist or or if you were just being like literary or something. He's like, he's like, did he just? And he kind of like looks at Chess. It's like did he just? Is that? He just kind of shakes his head. He's like, you get one. That's one. He's just like, and just he kind of looks at you, Zed, and he's like, see what I got to put up with here? Wait until they start making brain jokes. Yeah, he's right. Crinville's literally here because he's being paid to be by the biggest crime lord in the cluster. A person whom he doesn't exactly want to say no to. for many reasons. But Oglehop just figures this is where the universe wants him to be. The rest of you, your motivations are, I don't know. Well, you're also the last two of the OG crew, too. You're the last of the original crew for the Menagerie. it's like some, it's like some little old lady, like barely, like every now and again looks up above the like driver's seat, up above the steering wheel, like looks around real cautiously. Uh, there's a couple of police who think you're specifically evading them. No, oh, that would be silly. I'm just playing around. I don't really want to deal with the cops right now. But you do manage to make your way to the Paperleaf Tea Trading Company's offices, and it looks like it's made to be sort of multi-purpose. Like it's very much the kind of place that has like yes, it's got the part of the building that's obviously for the offices and stuff, but there's also the part that's obviously like the shipping and receiving and the warehouse and stuff. You know, um, there is a walkway leading up to the building that, you know, maybe the front of the building is, stonework. It's like, it's probably concrete, um, but it's sort of like they've made an effort they've made an effort to make it not look like barren dog shit on so there's like maybe there's a bit of a mural on one side that's like sort of has like a um, a starship and like imagery and trees and tea plants of different types and you know various people like name brands and whatnot that they're sort of have sponsorship deals with and what have you, but it's all done to look very organic and natural. Um, so maybe like maybe the front of like the office building is stonework and wood, and then like the warehouse is the concrete. The warehouse and shipping and receiving is the concrete with like the mural on it and stuff. Um, and there's a very small patch of greenery between the sort of like small like office parking lot area and the front of the building. There's a sidewalk that leads up to it, a couple of very small shrubs. um, yeah, uh, there, there is a secretary there. There is the office itself isn't terribly large. It's big enough it can seat a few people in waiting and what have you, but it's not like mega corporation big. Um, you would kind of expect for it to be bigger if this is the regional headquarters, but it seems to be maintaining that sort of humble, like sort of humble beginnings, like blue collar sort of ethic, to it. They're like, look, we are a major business and we do all of this, high end stuff, but really a lot of the bigger stuff is done by appointment or through ordering, through our services and what have you. But yeah, there's um, they kind of keep it to where they only have a few visitors come in at a time. You get the impression this office is often used much more for like people who want to apply to work on the warehouse than it is for people who are doing high end contract negotiations. And there's and the secretary, just for reference, is a Sheeran, and they kind of use their telepathy back to respond, and they're like, "Do you have an appointment?" Um, yeah, she's like, "What business do you have with Mr. Frickson? Maybe I should start with what company do you represent?" Yeah, you can pretty much consider the menagerie a business. I mean, you don't you're not particularly licensed in the Maritza Republic just yet, but you operate. You're probably licensed as far as Patella is concerned, and probably in the pack worlds. But Maritza Republic, you may not necessarily be licensed, but you could still present yourself as we are a company because you have a ship and you can obviously move shit. Um, so she's like, okay, I'll need your official paperwork, your official incorporation paperwork. Mm. I think this is a bluff check here. That's what this kind of feels like. You're trying to convince her that it's just a clerical error and your business is much more important than that. That's not bad. She's um she's like, I tell you what, um I can't exactly let you through without the proper paperwork right now. However, I can see if I can hold an appointment time, and if you come back with the appropriate paperwork, we can finalize it and finalize the meeting. And she's and like, it's gonna take it might take you some time. You obviously can't do it right here on the spot, but she also slides you. She also slides you like a information pamphlet on where that's done. She's like, we're we understand when you come to we understand sometimes having issues with your paperwork going through when you come to a new system and setting up. We after all we after all do enjoy doing business with with independent entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, due to some bad press coverage and uh, due to some bad press coverage, we we kind of have to make certain that we're taking care of all of the paperwork. She's like, you know how it is. Sometimes there are people who are detract uh, from you, who are critical or detractors. She's like, she's like, the offices will. She's like, oh, maybe she does know somebody in the offices that could expedite this. Do I have handy dandy names? Hmm. Do not there. There are a couple of places where I have some names that I just wrote up in case. Okay. Oh, okay. Never mind. We can do that. She's like, look, if you go down there to get your paperwork done, look for a isekai named Dell. He's usually pretty quick about getting these things through. He's helped a few entrepreneurs get their paperwork together for us before. And we'll see if I can't hold a spot for the menagerie and your captain. Your name, ma'am? Last name? Merle. She's like, well, everything about this is made up, so, I mean, uh, yeah. She's like, all right. She's like, I'll see if I can hold this spot for you. And she's like, Captain Chess Murgle and the Menagerie. If you come back when you have your paperwork straightened away and come back, we can finalize that appointment and get you in to see Mr. Frickson. Alright. And the name of that secretary is Kikich, when you were talking to. Alright. Let me make sure I wrote that down so I didn't forget him. Yeah, so um, she kind of like makes a note, a log and whatnot, you guys, and goes back to, like answering calls and looking and processing stuff on the computer and, what she was doing before. Let's see, Dell. Not Adele, just Dell. Del. Mm-hmm. Nah. um, yeah. But you get there, and the place is, it's fairly well organized, but it is kind of like busy to an extent. Like there's like a take a number kind of situation going on here, and they seem to be the line isn't terribly long. Um, you know, there it's just long enough that you could potentially go to the restaurant across the street and drink a pint or get a burger to go or something. Uh, I'm gonna say that you can try it, but here's the caveat: you would know that something like this is going to have some super high end security. Um, so it's a high risk situation. And she didn't put a time limit on how long she's going to hold that, you know, trying to find a time. Clearly, the sooner you get back, the better. But, um, she didn't tell you, oh, if you're not back by this certain time. Clearly, she's not going to wait forever, but you figure you've got some time. Did I lose you? Yeah, because you get caught trying to crack into an official government like office. That's almost anywhere you go. That's serious penalties, and in a place like this, there's likely going to be very quick law enforcement. Yeah, hmm yeah. I think Crenville is just like, look, if we got enough time to do so, I'd just as soon go get something to eat. There's only so long I can deal with my own home cooking or that of Ogle Hops. he's, he's like, I don't care how many nutritional properties that gruel he makes has. It tastes awful. He looks over at you and he's like, and he goes, I don't even know how to reply to that. um, but he's like, I'm gonna go get something to eat. I don't know about you guys. And he goes out to get himself something to eat. Hmm. Reach out what? You can send a message, but it'll take a while for it to get to them and get back, um, back to you. It's not like there's subspace where it's instant communication with people off world. You're not on the same world, the same infosphere. You gotta wait for it to come to, go there. It kind of has to be delivered and come back, essentially. And who's he sending this to? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So he's sending a contact of his. All right. Might want to write him down in your crew notes so that we know he exists. And next time you want to try to tap him for something, we'll make a roll of some sort to see how your interaction with him is going to kind of go. And yeah, those of you who go out to get something to eat, it probably costs about, uh, if you sit down to eat at the restaurant across the place, it'll take like the number will come up before you're done eating. If you try to just grab something to go, it's going to kind of depend on what you're getting. Clearly, you can get a steak or something if you sit down, which is going to be more expensive and take more time. But if you're just looking to get like a burger or like a pizza to go or some other like easy to make bar food kind of thing, um, it'll cost you a little bit less, but you'll be able to get it to go. All right. Yeah. There's there. Well, I mean, it's kind of like if you think of like the places that you can go sit down. That oh, I wrote that wrong. If you think about the kind of places you could go in the real world where you could sit down and get something to eat, but you could also like order something to go. Um, Places that serve alcohol. Um, some like a fucking Applebee's or something like that. It's a place that's kind of like that. Um, Applebee's clearly does not exist here, but order what? Sure. Let's see. All right. So for those who are getting burgers, they have Zofa burgers, made from the Zofa, which is uh, which is an alien creature yet to be described. They're like, oh, Zofa meat's good. Um, there are Chimzok hot wings, which are basically they are made from little flying lizards' wings. And I think like maybe it's probably like 10 credits for the Chimzok hot wings and maybe like 7 credits for a Zofa for a Zofa burger. Yeah, yeah. um, but yeah. So I think you guys are kind of coming back with your uh, Krenville probably buys a drink too, so he probably spends like 10 credits. But you guys come back with your food and whatnot. Um, and Chess is still sitting there. And let me see, what kind of money does Krenville himself have? You know what? Nice. I think Krenville's like, I thought about getting you. He's like, I thought about getting you a Zofa burger, but wasn't sure what you would want to eat. So, but this is about the time that they call you the number, and you guys are able to get up through the line and whatnot, and they're sort of processing through and whatnot. Um, and they're like, they go to send you when they go to send you to somebody to like personally deal with like a representative to process your information and stuff. Um, they're like, it'll be a 200 credit processing fee. You guys do have credits in your ship bank. All right. Yeah. There's like, and they go to send you to a different agent than this Dell that the Kikich was sending you to. I think that's probably going to be a diplomacy check here. Yeah, I'm gonna get the help roll first. Well, AL, you are not much help here. Yeah, I think it's this thing where like the she's like, yeah, I think she probably looks at you, AL, like you're whatever you're doing is just like not helping. She probably is like, she's like one at a time and kind of does the whole hand thing to you. And Chess, what do you say that convinces this lady to let you go see Dell instead? I think she's just like, I think she's like, let me guess, you're with the Paper Leaf Tea Trading Company? Yeah, they said they have a lot of people come through here to do business with them. It'll be a, it'll be 20 minutes. His office is that way. There's a bench outside of it, and she kind of sends you in the points you in the direction. Yeah, she's something about the way you said it. She's like, oh, okay, I get it. You're concerned about the image of things. Ergo, going back to who else is concerned about image. Pretty much everybody that tries to do business with the Paperleaf Tea Trading Company, for one reason or another. Um, yeah, but you go, you. There's a, a couch to wait on. It's not terribly comfortable and it's not terribly nice. So, it's the kind of office furniture that's like you're not really meant to be super comfortable here. You're just meant to be comfortable enough that you'll be patient waiting for whatever you're supposed to be doing. Here, the we don't want you to sit around, feel like you need to sit around and talk. We want you to be ready to when we call for you. But it does take about 20 minutes, and finally, a finally, a guy who looks like he's dressed fairly well for a space captain. As a matter of fact, he looks absolutely brilliant for being a space captain, and you can tell that's what he is because his armor and gear are completely branded. Um, like his crew obviously makes their own shit, kind of like the Fire Shrike does. You're noticing a lot of crews have started doing this. Um, but it's got like a logo blazing on the front, the Lucky Drifter, and it's got maybe just like this colorful logo on it, but the rest of it's like white and looks very sharp, almost military sharp, but not quite there. Um, and he's got like he's a human with like blonde hair and blue eyes, and he kind of walks out. He sees you, and he goes, ah, hello, sorry, a bit of time. He's like, and he kind of nods at you, and kind of keeps moving, and kind of keeps moving along. Um, there's a voice from inside, like, uh, well, actually, the isekai kind of walks out for a set, walks out of his office, and you know, he's very professionally dressed. He's got a very nice suit on, and he's got a very nice suit on, a nice tie. He's probably one of the more well dressed isekai you've ever seen. And he kind of looks at you guys and goes, he's like, all right, so come on in. Hey, he says, let's not, we got, we got things to do. We got time going on. We got stuff going here. It's like, got stuff to do. And he kind of walks back in the office. Yeah, so yeah. So the Paper Leaf Tea Trading Company sent you. How it's like everybody wants to do business with those guys. Ever since they came to the Marixa Republic, they send me a lot of work. And he goes, all right. So what's the name of your ship, and how do you want it to appear on the official paperwork, your official incorporation paperwork? Do you want it to be your ship's name LLC? Do you want it to be your ship's name Inc? Do you want it to be your ship's name company? You know, how do you want that to appear? And what is your ship name? All right. So the Menagerie LLC. All right. He goes, that works. He goes, it's like, let's see, you've got your processing fee out of the way. You got your, it says, all right. And you're incorporating yourselves as, are you bounty hunters? Are you, are you free merchants? Freighter captains? Transport? Are you generalized license? Generalized industrial license? Commercial license? Well, it sounds like if you're gonna do work with the Paper Leaf Tea Trading Company, you're gonna need a form. You're gonna need the form for transport, for industrial transport, because they're gonna. If you're gonna do work for them, they're probably gonna have you, make a few deliveries. So you'll need that. Have that paperwork in order. You, for general purposes, do you want a bounty hunting? Do you want bounty hunting added to your repertoire? Is that a thing you want in there? All right. And you want a? He goes. So we'll write that into. Do you want licensing for personnel for commercial personal transport, flying passengers and the like? To a point, not that you couldn't modify your ship to have stuff for transporting people, but you're not currently set up for that. There's a quick cut to the doctor. He's trying to tell the VI not to blow the ship up. It's like no man, like you really gotta understand the cosmos wants you to be here, and I know that because the cosmos wants me to be here, and I don't think cosmos wants me to be blown up. I think the cosmos wants me to work with like the captain and the crew, and they can't be a captain and crew without you. And like, it's just bad to blow up. You should probably not do that. Like I don't know what the ship equivalent of a chill pill is, but we'll see what we can do about that. And meanwhile, Naj just like is talking about like it's like the coil guns were invented in blah 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 blah. They're a long range weapon, direct fire. They're commonly used on and just kind of like completely non sequitur. Um, it's like, but we come back to the office, and Della's like, "All right, so commercial personal transport, yay, nay? Is that something?" Okay, okay, all right. So that's fine. That's fine. So bounty hunting, industrial transport. You do you want licensing for mercenary work as well? Sometimes the Republic hires some guys for or the Sundaratu University hire extra protection. So so licensing for mercenary work, bounty hunting, industrial transport. Are you licensing out for engineer support, freelance troubleshooters in engineering and uh, and computer repair? Is that a licensing for your business you want? And he's like, all right, so that hits in most of the basic ones. Is there anything any more specialized? Do you need and he's like, it seems like those are the kinds of things that are going to be covered in your basic do jack of all trades do stuff. You need anything more specialized, you can always come back. Each licensing for subheading is 100 credits. You got four subheadings. That's 400 credits. This is this is 400 credits for the subheadings, and I'll need to send an inspection team out to make sure that you're up to snuff for all of these for these different licensing. You know, got to make sure that the ship can do the things you need it to do. You know, it's like I can have an inspection team out there probably tonight. Um, it'll be a little late, but I can probably get a couple of guys that are looking for some overtime to get out there, take care of it, and make sure everything. Just a couple of questions here. So, is like, do you have? I don't know what this is. Okay. Do you have a brig on your ship for transporting prisoners? You do not. Now you have a general science lab, a tech lab, and two cargo bays. Right. I mean that's well. He's like he's like Well, he's like, well, being able to, if you have a free room, that would free you up to be able to transport one or two prisoners. And, but it's not technically up to snuff for for the licensing requirement. So the idea with the cage in the cargo bay, that's definitely not up to stuff. That's animal transport. Which, if you want to add that to your licensing, it's another 100 credits. But you know, that's up to you whether you. It's like, but uh, it's like fair enough then. So what am I gonna do here for you since you don't have a brig currently? But you're working with the you're trying to work with the Paper Leaf Tea Trading Company. What I'll do is I'll have my boys tell them to give you a pending review, um, a temporary pass and pending review type thing. There's a technical term for it, but it's kind of long and boring, and you don't want to hear all that. Suffice it to say, you'll need to get a brig in at some point because at some point I'm going to have to send an inspection team back out again. And next time I do, you're probably going to need to have a brig in there. I can only pull so much weight. After all, even my bosses look over my head sometimes. It's about 3 foot. Yeah, Yusakai are not very big. Yusakai are around the same size as halflings and gnomes and shit. Well, I mean, don't ask me why, but for whatever reason, almost all Isekai in my universe tend to sound like they're from New York or Brooklyn or something. um, that is not a statement on my thoughts about Brooklyn or New York or fucking anything like that, or even a state. It's yeah, it's just one of those deals. Like yeah, they're described as being people who have sort of large families and they're super industrious, and for whatever reason it put me in mind of probably some show from the 80s or something that took place in that sort of setting. Were you? I didn't even realize, but okay. Something like that is like yeah, he's like so the inspection team will be out there tonight. I'll have the paperwork processed and ready for you to pick up in the morning. This is but make sure that before the next, he says the next review, says I'll give you a heads up before the next inspection comes up, just to make sure you're ready. And like he hands you his card. He's like, he's like, and we'll be hearing from you soon, and probably, sounds like you're gonna be doing business around here. I'm sure I'll catch you around, and you may need my number for, you know, business paperwork stuff. You know, taking care of the thing that we're taking care of now. He seems fairly, despite the suit, he seems to have a fairly casual attitude about his job. He's just like, he's just kind of taking the piss out of how official his job is supposed to look or sound. but but you guys have some time to run around. You are on the Marexa Republic, so you have time to run around and spend any credit you may want to spend, or take in any kind of entertainment you want to take in, and check on Dr. Oglehop. Dr. Oglehop is actually like he's in his like he's like maybe he's in the cargo bay at this point, but he's got his custom micro lab out, and he seems to be running some kind of experiment or another. He's like he's like no, no, that's those two strains don't work as well together as I thought. Maybe if I add a little bit of this, you know what? Maybe it's a fertilizer. I should use better fertilizer. Yeah. he's like he's like he's like oh, I'm trying to create a better plant, man. And he's like, nature is awesome and wonderful, and you know, he's what does he have? Like, who's he worshiping? I think it's Horus. I think it's the god of evolution. But I want to make sure before I say it. Oh no, he's the green faith. He's of the green faith. He's like, look, plants, man. Plants are what connect the universe together, right? So if you want the universe to be better, you make better plants. See, all of the soil, all of the animals, all of the things you're going to find, like the water, everything, all of it's dependent upon plant life, right? It's as we've seen, like there's so many planets that don't have plant life. There's just like nothing there, man. Like nothing. We have to bring plants in and water and stuff in. They don't already have plants, so they don't have anything else. So like, if I'm making a better plant, hopefully one that can grow in an environment with let's say, a 92% higher gravity with a 55% less oxygen to carbon dioxide ratio, and add in about 15% nitrogen. And he just is going on these technical details of like some imaginary planet that he's trying to breed this plant to be able to survive on. And you'd have no idea where this planet actually is, what it would be called, if it's even a planet that exists, or if it's just something in his head. He's just lost in the details of trying to figure out how to. Yeah, you have life sciences, right? You've you've got and you have physics. You have and you don't have medicine, do you? Mm, you do have something in life science. Yeah, so you can keep up with like the technical aspects of what he's trying to breed and how he's trying to go about it. It seems it's one of those conundrums that like is going to take a great deal more research to come to. Um, the question is more of why is he thinking of this in particular? Why is he thinking about such a very specific set of variables for a planet that he hasn't even named? And seems to be, you can keep up with the technical part, but the stuff where he's talking about like plants connecting the universe together, and the importance of, like, you understand the physical importance of plants and whatnot, but the way he's talking about it seems a little bit, well, it's very religious to you. And being that you have something in mysticism, you would be able to tell. Dr. Oglehop clearly practices the green faith. Um, they're effectively the space druids. So, yeah, he's, but because water and plants go together, clearly if you don't have plants, you're not going to have water. Like, so it's all relative. He's like, water is ridiculously important as well, but like, you can't tell if there is a healthy ecosystem unless you know where there's plants. And then, when you look at those plants, you can extrapolate the kinds of life forms that might be around based on, and you're just kind of going off of, and there's a lot of scientific stuff about this. It's like, yes, the plant life can tell you a great deal about the kinds of, wildlife is around there and what have you. What he's saying has a lot of technical truth to it, but he's adding a spiritual layer to it that if you don't follow the green faith, or if you simply don't follow any religion, probably just comes off as mumbo jumbo. Yeah. And eh, he's like, food, but like, it's not just food, it's also a food that, well, that can make you feel better. And I'm trying to, he's like you've heard of blue fruit, right? And he produces like a blue fruit, and it's got a vaguely pear shape to it, um, but it's also slightly fuzzy. And there's like he's like kind of like a peach almost, but it's like a blue. You probably would know it. Given your given life science, you have life sciences and what have you. That there's this is a it's only known as blue fruit, and it's a hallucinogen. It is a it's a fruit that it is a lot of people like to eat it. A lot of people like the party scene, the club scene, you know, people who just like to get fucked up and what have you. There, this is a thing that is a fairly well known quantity. This is like I'm trying to cross it. He says, I'm trying to cross it with, and maybe he's talking about like, and blue fruit grows on like a tree, as far, I'm trying to cross it with I'm trying to cross it with a coconut tree or a pineapple bush because, I'm thinking those will produce bigger fruits, right? And different variations, like a different texture while you're going on your vision quest, man. You well, he's like, yeah, he just kind of looks. He kind of looks at you guys and he's like, well, I mean, it depends on what you're description of a day is. I mean, day is a different night is a different cycle on here than it is on Patella. It's a different cycle on Akaton than it is on Absalom Station, and it's a different cycle. And he's like, and you know this is true. Days are longer on some places than they are on others. So he may not even be directly avoiding the question. It seems to you guys that this is simply him spacing the fact that you're implying that he does too many drugs and actually going into the technical end of what a day means. He has completely missed the point that you guys are trying to make and is just on with the. It's like, it's like, and furthermore, because of planetary drift and because of the way things, if you look at like the stuff from early primitive civilizations, like you get the impression that their days in some planets may have been longer or shorter based on like the sort of like their descriptions of their 9 day cycles. And it's just kind of like, he's just kind of going on about this stuff. And he's like, and he completely gets lost on a completely different topic of conversation. He's like, you know what? They still haven't cured Jollick's disease. They would have done that by now. Hey, he's like, nah, man. Like, I tried the university life for a while, but it was too restrictive, man. Those people cannot think outside of the box. Like, there's so many discoveries that have been made by so many great minds that rejected academia because of its strict nature and policies. And then he just kind of, and he kind of goes, and he goes off on like some tangent about some historical figure. on, yeah, you just to the point where you realize that Dr. Oglehop has pulled a pipe out of his the pocket in his bathrobe, and just he has started smoking on it, and he's walking in circles around a box, apparently contemplating the box. It's just a cargo box that you guys have shit in. It's no, no, no. He has he no he, for all of his foibles, he does have ranks in engineering. So he's not just going to start pulling random parts off and breaking the ship. Yeah, he just kind of he's like he's like he's like, oh wow, yeah, he's like and maybe he's like, oh, just a relaxation technique, man. Like it's it's common among shamans of and witch doctors of all stripes to use mood enhancers and hallucinogenics on their journey to discovery. This is more of a mood enhancer. It's not, you know, I'm good on the spirit journey for the time being. I mean, like when we're ready to do something else, I might go on one. But it's like, but by the way, like I need to get a baseline medical profile on you. And he kind of looks at you, Zed, and he's like in case something happens. And you might actually have probably, you would have probably figured this out by now. Like you know what a custom microlab is. You've probably met a few biohackers in your day. Because so clearly he has, some scientific training and knowledge, and clearly enough to be dangerous potentially. Um, but biohackers are, you know, their strength lies in injecting people with stuff that either hinders them or makes them do better. Like he literally uses drugs to enhance or debuff people, um, which is why he has a syringe rifle. Yeah. Well, the biohacking basically it's just he's attuning it, like basically he's wanting to attune you to his custom microlab. That way he can help you out better in combat. Essentially, yeah, as a mechanical point, biohackers, if they can, the people who are attuned to their station, they can actually fire like the biohacks at them without having to make a two hit roll. They just automatically hit, do no damage, and you just get the potentially positive benefits out of it. Crenville, Crenville started on it. No, I think he probably took some parts back to the tech lab to work on remachining them and whatnot. Because this was a junk cycle. It wasn't really actually a good motorcycle. Like if he repairs it back to the way that it was, it's just gonna be just as unstable and just as prone to blowing up. So he's trying to make improvements. But yeah, he's in the tech lab if you want to go see him. Yeah. No, no, I think just thinking about it, I think he probably would have looked at the junk cycle and said, really? In fact, he's probably going to spend a few UPBs out of the ship stash to upgrade it. Because he's going to end up turning it into like either a motorbike or a basic intercycle or something. That way it doesn't have the high end probability of blowing up. Yeah? Everybody else who tried to make a piloting check that day on that particular day just failed. But yeah, uh, no, I think Dr. Oglehop mostly just kind of like he after a few minutes and after mentioning to you that mentioning to Zed that he needs to make sure he stops by every morning for for to make sure like to for a status on his bio readings and whatnot. Um, probably Dr. Oglehop probably goes to the probably goes. Actually, I think he's just going to call out, or no, he goes to the mess hall because he's going to make himself some of his super healthy but not very tasty gruel. Not necessarily. I mean, he's got a rank in survival, so he can cook, but nobody's assigned him that. It's just that, like, um, I don't think Crenville can cook. Can himself cook. I don't think he. No, Crenville's had to. Yeah, Crenville's had to have some of that gruel because he can't cook himself. No, no. What he every day he just has you guys come by to tune into his micro lab so that if anything happens, he can take care of you better. But other than that, if you want drugs and stuff, he can't just like magically produce high end drugs, but he can make low end drugs. Like Voost is like a tier one drug. He could manufacture that if you wanted him to. He could manufacture drugs that with a level up to hit to with a level of up to two. So if there's a level two or a level one drug you want made, and you've got the UPBs to make it, he can do so. Um, but other than that, he could probably find places to buy them. You know, um, that's true. You could. Space Breaking Bad. That could be an entire campaign. You never know. Yep. Hey, Doctor Oglehop is already halfway there. He walks around most of the time in his boxers and his bathrobe, slippers, oddly with an injector pistol strapped to his side. Yeah, yeah. What are you guys doing with your time and your evening? Oh, Brigs are impact worlds, and there's two ways you could go about that. One, I'm pretty sure you spent all of the build points you have for the ship right now, so you might have to trade in something for it. Or you can wait until your average party level goes up to 4, and then, when you have more build points, sacrifice one of your cargo bays for it. Yeah, right. Hmm. Okay. So, but do you guys do anything else special with your evening? Um, actually, you know what? Actually, there is one thing. There is one thing of note that that going on. There's a concert going on in the Capitol, and it is a band called the Keepers of the Secret. And the Keepers of the Secret, um, they are their public images that they worship Nyarlathotep, who is ostensibly an evil deity and a deity of secrets and conspiracies. But they're edgy like that. They're the guys that wear lots of black leather, long hair. Uh, they're like, that is kind of like sound like the, they're, but but they make much worse music than Kiss. Well, not worse in the sense that it's technically bad. It's technically good, but it's much more commercial. It's much more commercial. It's commercial edgy. Um, it's hi, we're showing ourselves. We're our images that we're edgy and we're cool because we worship this god that other people frown upon. But their music is very much like um, the kind of stuff that like soccer moms and teenagers listen to in terms of when they think they're being hardcore. um, they also have a reputation of they also have a reputation for being really big on the drugs, and they always seem to be ever touring. They're always touring. They're always fucking going somewhere. They've done shows where no one else can get a gig because no one would even consider it. Why would they be getting a big one? Yeah, why would they be getting a big gig? Because they're immensely popular. Like they are ostensibly are an arena rock kind of band in their popularity level. Yeah. Oh yeah. Even though their aesthetic is we're edgy and we're anti-corporate, anti-commercial, they're everywhere. They've got there's posters, there's t-shirts, there's like their memorabilia. Yeah, like yeah. Oh yeah. Their music ends up in more than a couple of movie soundtracks, and one or two, and some of them end up on commercials and stuff. They always like disavow. There's always a big stink whenever it happens. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe they're using our. It was our agent who signed the deal. We don't like that. That's just not what we're all about." But in the end, um, either they get paid well enough to shut up or they were already paid well enough to shut up and about it, and they're just making a scene to protect their image. This is the kind of band they are. People like them. Oh yeah, like yeah, like there's that thing where it's like the big and there's a lot of hype around it, you know. All the media personalities are talking on Marik the Republic are talking about it. They're like, oh, it's blah blah blah. It's a big event. They're playing with another fairly well-known band. It's a weird bill. They're playing with Carnage, which is a dwarven death metal band, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense with their style. The images match, but the actual content does not necessarily match. Um, A lot of what? Oh yeah, yeah. There's like there are a lot. There's people just like anything. Just like anything. There's gonna be some people who poo poo all over shit. Um, and the people who poo poo all over them tend to poo poo hard. Either poo poo so hard that they seem like they're people who really were just fans who got, who feel insulted for something or another that they did or didn't do. Um, or they're people who come off like hipsters, like, sure, sure, of course, whatever, you know, and kind of thing. But yeah, eh, right, yeah. Crinwell just kind of looks over and goes, "You guys is like intimidating bouncers you'll make." Uh, He's like, "Count me out of this fiasco." He says, he just looks at you. He goes, "Now that was blatantly racist." And he just kind of, and he, he's like, "I think I like one of." He's like, "I think I like the other you better." He just kind of, and he's like, and he goes, "In any case, I don't get why they're doing why Poppy Carnage would do a bill with him. It seems like they'd be more in line with." I would think that maybe that the Keepers of the Secret would probably be doing a double bill with Laser Loves Lucy, not Compu Carnage. It'd make a hell of a lot more sense. It's like it could be entertaining to go and watch the idiots, though. Sounds like he doesn't have a high opinion of this band or the people who listen to him. Yeah, yeah. In any case, you could probably checking into security. It's one of those things that they can put you down as a contact for the next one, but they hired to get the security for this event like days ago. Yeah. Right? Oh, Dr. Oglehop will go with you. It seems like a fun time to him. Prinville's out of it, but and uh, he makes the excuse that he's got to finish fixing the motorcycle anyway. So that's what he's probably going to do. Uh, you you can try, but he basically just he probably shoos you away. He's like, look, I got this. It's fine. He's like, go have fun. Like this is, he's like, even if this was all 100% done, I wouldn't go. He's like, I'm telling you point blank, this is my excuse for not going. And he's just like, this is what I will be doing instead of watching a concert. But for those of you who are going to the concert, it's going to end up being it's going to end up being 50 credits for tickets to get in, and you have to like buy them from a scalper because it's a sold out show. Some sketchy looking dude. Yeah, yeah. He's like, yeah. He's like, I think he's just like, oh, well, I guess if we're not going, we're not going. Well, the cosmos has spoken. We are not to go. And he kind of looks around, and he's like, maybe next time. He just kind of points in the direction of the arena, and turns around and follows you back. Um, the inspection goes fairly well, and everything is pretty solid. Aside from the fact that like Dell told us we were going to have to check mark here, check mark here. This is a pending. Da da da. It's like, and they're like, all right. It's like the paperwork will be ready in the morning. It's like transferred to you. It's like you gentlemen have a good evening, and they kind of go and take off. But and the night passes for you guys doing whatever it is you're going to do with the night. Um, the but You wake up in the morning, and Chess, you eventually get like you've been up after you've been up for a couple of hours. The official copies of the registration are downloaded to your comms and whatnot, so you now have your paperwork. Yep, Tom McPherson. Yep, yep. So you're gonna go back and talk to Kikich and get have and present the paperwork. You know, Kikich looks it over and it's like, okay. And she's like, I have an afternoon spot for you. She's like, I've got an afternoon spot ready and set up for you. if you'll be back here and she's like, if you'll be back here in 3.5 hours, we'll you will be able to meet with Mr. Frickson. All right, awesome. Yeah, get what they had. You're gonna get what any of them had. It is the Zofa burger, so it'd be 7 credits for a Zofa burger. However, right, like I'm just gonna go cook myself something. By the way, making food is a survival check, which you can do untrained, but obviously, if you don't have a lot of pluses in it, it's probably not going to. It may not turn out as well. Uh, you're not making any gourmet meals, most likely. It's edible. Whatever you made, it's edible. The but yeah, you guys managed to get your food and what have you, and you finally managed to make it back and get to Tomic Frickson and your meeting. And maybe it's like you're not led to like a meeting room or an office or anything. Like they lead you back into the warehouse and receiving area, and you see a human, or like they you see a lot of people like of all different races and what have you. But you see it like a human that has got his sleeves rolled up, and people keep coming up to him, like with with data pads and talking to him and whatever. He seems to be directing traffic to some small extent. And as and like the secretary is as the foreman or whoever is guiding you that they called is guiding you up. Um, it's about that time that like Thomas Frickson, stops what he's doing to go help some other workmen, lift a crate onto a pallet, and the foreman kind of like stops and he's like, Mr. Frickson, the appointment that the Kitch added this morning, they're here. The Menagerie LLC with Captain Chess Myrtle and the man the Frickson turns around, of course having finished setting the helping his employees set the uh, tea up on the tea on the pallet or whatever. He's like, and he kind of dusts his hands off and he kind of turns around and he's dressed for work. He is not dressed for the office. He's dressed down a little bit and he's like extends his hand and he's like, Tomic Frickson. He goes, I'm the regional manager here, but don't let that intimidate you. We all sweat here. It's a team effort. Nobody's above the physical labor. He goes, what can I do for you? And he kind of, and do any of you take his hand? Yeah, I think Crenville does as well. Does AL or Zed? Yeah. He's like, he's like, what can I do for you? He says, let's take a walk. Like to stretch my legs while we're talking. You see a little bit more. He says, you see what we're all about here, too. So, what kind kind of business are you in? What are you here to apply for a delivery job? I'm assuming it's something a little bit more than that. The secretary could have handled that if could have the secretary and the foreman could have handled that. Okay. I think Crenville probably um, pipes in here. He's like, it's pronounced Isaac. Just you know, and um, and he's like, just a point of reference. And I think Tomic looks at Frickson looked at you. He goes, he's like, Isaac, Isaac. He goes, hmm, that's interesting. And I think Crenville would probably further in. He goes, let's just say that ISIG figures you're in the same business, import export, right? And it's just like, and there's a narrowing, and Frickson narrows these eyes. He's like, import export. I've heard of the guy. I've heard of this ISIG. So, what they tell me true? That all the story's true? Is he as successful in the shadows as they say? Uh, well, there is some bit of concern about it, but the Tabori cluster is quite a ways away from here. Mm, ISIG essentially exists outside of Marix's sphere of influence. So does the Tabori cluster. There are some folks that do business with in the Tabori cluster that we do business with that may not look kindly upon a meeting, a joining of businesses, but it still doesn't play well in the media. It's honestly a bit of a decision that's a bit over my head. Personally, I could see the value of someone with his resources, but the questionable nature of his external appearances could be problematic. I'm sorry, what was the last part? It's like, well, problem is, this is not a decision I'm going to be able to make on my own. I'll have to kick this one up the chain of command on. He says, chances are really good that if there is a decision to move forward, that I'm going to be the one that has to be on the point on it. However, he says, this is the only one outside of the board of directors that could likely make a decision on this would be Jolyn Star Whisper, and that's because she reports directly to the board. Hate kicking it back to her because I'd love to get the feather in my cap for a big deal like that, for a big deal, but this is a little outside of my scope. However, Jolyn and I have a pretty good working relationship. Well, I tell you what, is I'll consider it the I'll consider I'll consider that a favor for a favor, but the favor I want from you is a pretty big one in and of itself. I'd like to start a business relationship with Patella. And the reason why is not going to be obvious at first. I fully expect that the Marixa Republic is going to follow the example of the Pact Worlds and sanction Patella. It'll make bringing any of the products that they have here in system to Marixa Republic tricky. But I understand that the Veskarium is likely to give them is less likely to sanction them, and we've been trying to stick our foot in that market for a while. If I can create a business relationship with Patella, whoever's in charge there, set up offices, be able to set up offices, that could pave the way to a new trade route between the Veskarium and Patella that would be more than profitable, and it'd be a feather in my cap. He says, well, we'll call it a favor for a favor then. He says, you get me a word in negotiating with Patella. I'll put in a good word for you with Jarlin Star Whisper. And he says, This is good. He goes, I'm glad says, I'm glad we can come to an arrangement. As for, as for extra work, let me think about it. I may have some stuff, lined up, I may be able to line some stuff up before you leave, Planet. Give me a call and see if I've got anything. He's like, if you'll, and he says, and he said, and maybe like he's kind of like, he's like, well, since business is done, the official business is done. He says, let me show you around. He kind of like, um, gives you sort of a guided tour of of the facility. In the sense that like there are areas clearly he's not going to take you, and he doesn't, really expand on a lot of questions about security, other than to say that their security is excellent. But he also says, but he furthers that whole, hey, we come from humble beginnings. Our founder was a former slave who escaped and showed up with to a city with a weapon and two coppers and made an empire. This the they he really sort of promotes that, and he looks the part too. He looks and seems to act like the kind of guy that's like, you literally saw him helping his employees move shit around and picking up heavy objects. So, um, yeah, he's not just somebody who sits in an office and gives orders. He's a leader, not a manager. So there's the distinction. But yeah, he kind of gives you the tour and shows you around, and it looks like a fairly efficient operation. And they do see. He points out that while they are called the Paper Leaf Tea Trading Company, and they do most of their business is through tea, they also trade in a lot of other goods, which sort of like lends credence to they want to set up Kip on Patella, because Patella has some resources there that, um, you know they'd love to be the intermediaries, the shipping company that is the go-to for shit like that. Um, yeah, yeah. So they've got a lot of staked interest, but essentially they're, eventually, like, he, lets you guys, like, bids you guys a farewell, figuring that you guys probably have business you're going to take care of before you leave and what have you. But he's got, work he's clearly got to get back to. So, and what's our final scene here? Because it is 2:20, and let's get a good scene for the final scene. Anybody? Dr. Oglehop knew there was going to be an inspection. Um, you are completely baffled as to how he was able to not get busted for illegal narcotics and illegal drugs. You're assuming that most of it he probably like was able to obfuscate what exactly it was that he had with scientific and technical terms. Some of it he had to have hidden or consumed. You're not entirely certain what. No, he's still very clearly the kind of person he is, which frustrates the shit out of the inspectors. Actually, it probably only annoys them slightly. This is one of those situations where this is a lot about people knowing people and the sort of like politics of doing business in a place like this under these sort of auspices. Right. Hmm. Right. No, that's legit. And maybe that's our final scene is like Chess with her screen up and just sort of like move like taking and moving shit from one place like tasks from one place to another and setting up a priority order. um and that's kind of where we kind of like we get the camera that's like directly over her shoulder looking, and it slowly backs away until we sort of fade out and what have you. And that is our that is our show for tonight. So let's go ahead and start doing some sign offs. And I guess everybody send me your Player's Choice Award, so that I know who's getting the extra XP. And who wants to start us off tonight? Okay. All right. Then let's go to Zed. Captain Revenge, why don't you go next? Alrighty. Alrighty. Psychopathic. Yeah, yeah. It all worked out. It went to plan. It's just not the first plan. Whew. Whew. All right, so we'll get the bookkeeping out of the way first and foremost. Everybody give yourself a 300 experience points. Player's choice tonight is Zed. Give yourself an extra 50. And let's get to my sign off. So, first things first, I'm just going to say this right here. This right here, this is the official Sports, Booze, and Bitches, our first official merchandise. You can get it at TeePublic. Amy Gedden, TeePublic. Look it up. You can get it in a variety of colors. You can get it on face masks. You can get it on coffee cups and all kinds of other cool stuff. You can get it on a hoodie. Been thinking about getting it on a hoodie myself, but uh, had to get a T-shirt first. With that said, I am the Just a King Zerat. You can catch me here on Monday nights for the Fire Strike, my favorite group of space terrorists, space pirates, and never wells. You can catch me here on Tuesday night for Osel Bridge, where I play Yorick, who, as stated, is very shy and not terribly confident. So the exact opposite of me as a person. On Thursdays, I am in Fast Cards Clear Gyms, and so the first plan didn't work out. The second plan went off excellently. Checkmate, bitch. Um, I love how the lady confronted us it was like, oh hi, I know you're gonna try to frame us. We're gonna frame you, and then we still framed her anyway. Just went a different route. Um, you can also get where this is where I play Khan, who is a mastermind and plans within plans within plans. And Khan has a motto: never commit a crime you're not going to frame somebody else for. Uh, you can catch me here on Friday nights for the Ballad of the Menagerie, where we do this, where we are playing Starfinder in the same universe that the Fire Strike exists in, and we see a bit of crossover stuff here and there. Some of the plot lines and elements, you know they're the same universe because, shit's mentioned from one to the other. Um, and Oliver Byrne, who is now on the Fire Strike, started on the Menagerie, so yeah, they definitely exist in the same universe. Uh, but the Menagerie is taking care of a bunch of the stuff that the Fire Strike does not have time to do because the Fire Strike's trying to save all of reality. Um, and the Menagerie's got stuff they can do to help out with stuff that the Fire Strike only wishes they could be doing. And not this Saturday, but every other Saturday, so it would be 2 weeks from this Saturday. We do the Apocalypse World, Bitter Ends. The world flooded and the Rocky Mountains are now the Rocky Road Islands. There are giant mutated squids, insane children who are not afraid to try to fight these giant mutated squids. There's radio DJs who seem to live on nothing but alcohol. There's the last rock star in the apocalypse. There's awkward hugs. There's people with fingers for toes. It's bizarre, it's weird, it's crazy. I don't even know where it's going, and I'm running the damn thing. Um, it's the Bitter Ends. It's the Wave World sessions. Check it out. Um, this is one where the plot is, I don't know what it is, but the characters are insane, and you should totally check it out just for the characters alone. Good stuff will happen, but the stuff is usually a lot less fun than the characters themselves. And with that said, I do believe that is everything I've got here for us tonight. So, let's go ahead and say goodbye and get out of here. Goodbye. Goodbye.